Please welcome Dr. Chung with a big round of applause.
여러분들 반갑습니다. 조태열 장관님, 커트 캠벨 부장관님, 미즈시마 고이치 대사님, 카렌 하우스 편집장님, 폴 월포비츠 박사님, 존 햄리 소장님, 야부나카 미토지 차관님, 자춘기 교수님, 국내외 귀빈 여러분, 바쁘신 일정과 먼 길을 마다 않고 이 자리에 참석하여 주셔서 감사합니다. 양해해 주시면 이제부터 영어로 말씀드리겠습니다. 햄리 소장이 아직 안 오셨는데 이제 오실 것 같습니다. Good morning, dear friends, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you had a good breakfast. Welcome to the Asan Plenum 2025. The theme of this year's plenum is 80 years of independence and 60 years of Korea-Japan normalization. The 80th anniversary of national liberation and the 60th anniversary of normalization of diplomatic relations with Japan are both significant milestones that merit our discussion this year. The number 80 is considered auspicious for Koreans. In the past, it was rare for someone to live to their 80th birthday. To celebrate, we used to hold a big celebration called 팔순 잔치. 60 years is also a symbolic number because it marks a full cycle of the East Asian calendar. We hold a feast to celebrate a person's 60th birthday known as 환갑. This year is an opportunity to reflect on the past, assess the present, and consider the future of Korea's security at this inflection point in world history. Let me begin with Korea's relationship with Japan. For 1,000 years, Korea preserved its independence between the competing spheres of influence cast by China and Japan. In the 1590s, two Japanese invasions devastated Korea. In the 1890s, Imperial Japan started the first Sino-Japanese War. The war was fought on the Korean peninsula, and the Japanese assassins killed Korean Empress Myeong in 1895 at Gyeongbok Palace. It led to the 1905 Ulsa Treaty and the formal annexation in 1910. For the next 36 years, from 1910 to 1945, Imperial Japan exploited Korea. In World War II, millions of Korean men were drafted to be sent to Japan's military front lines. According to Professor Jung-sik Lee of University of Pennsylvania, about 200,000 Korean women were forced to become comfort women for Japanese soldiers. Girls as young as 14 were taken to the comfort stations. When the United States finally dropped atomic bombs on Japan to end the war in 1945, 40,000 Koreans working at factories in Hiroshima and Nagasaki were also killed. Thanks to American victory in 1945, the Japanese occupation of Korea ended. It took 20 years for South Korea to normalize diplomatic relations with Japan in 1965. Many Koreans opposed the government's decision to establish diplomatic relations with Japan and demonstrated on the streets violently. Despite 60 years of relations, there continue to be many points of friction in our relationship. On history issues, these include historical revisionism by a group of people in Japan about wartime crimes and denial of justice to Korean victims, such as comfort women and forced laborers. On territorial issue, we continue to see unwarranted Japanese claim to the South Korean island of Dokdo and unilateral interpretations around the continental shelf. Dear friends, ladies and gentlemen, throughout my career, I have tried to contribute to improving the Korea-Japan relationship. As a PhD student at Johns Hopkins Science, I wrote my dissertation on Japan. As a politician, I wrote a book in 2002 titled This I Say to Japan. And as the vice president of FIFA, I tried to make the 2002 FIFA World Cup to be co-hosted with Japan. Over the past 80 years, the Korea-Japan relationship has made important progress despite our troubled history. We have helped each other in times of need. For example, we have provided medical aid after natural disasters such as the 1995 Kobe earthquake and 2011 earthquake and tsunami in Japan. Our governments have also evacuated each other's citizens from conflicts such as Libya in 2011 and Sudan and Israel in 2023. Our people-to-people exchanges now exceed that with China. Last year, 7 million Korean tourists visited Japan, making up a quarter of all foreign tourists, while over 2 million Japanese tourists visited Korea, making up a fifth of all tourists. The Asan Institute annual survey shows that the positive feeling of Korean public towards Japan is the highest in recent years. Support for closer trilateral security cooperation between South Korea, the United States, and Japan is also of over 80%. Dear friends, ladies and gentlemen, it has been 80 years since Japanese colonists and troops left the Korean peninsula. At the end of the Second World War in Europe, the Allied powers divided Nazi Germany as punishment, but in Asia, they divided Korea, not Japan. Today, the greatest threat to our country comes not from Japan, but from the communist and hereditary regime in North Korea. The security threat posed by North Korea is more serious than ever. North Korea has unveiled tactical nuclear weapons and nuclear submarines. It has tested dozens of short and long-range ballistic missiles. It has sent thousands of North Korean soldiers to the front lines against Ukraine. It evades sanctions and steals billions of dollars through cyber attacks. If we want to overcome the challenge posed by North Korea, supported by China and Russia, we better be prepared to think the unthinkable. Last year, I claimed that we better begin laying the groundwork for the redeployment of tactical nuclear weapons. Recently, senior American politicians and experts are becoming more supportive of the redeployment of tactical nuclear weapons. Senator Roger Wicker of Mississippi, chairman of the Senate Armed Services Committee, has proposed examining the redeployment of U.S. tactical nuclear weapons to the Western Pacific. The United States has over 100 nuclear bombs deployed in Europe. Our concerns begins with recognizing the reality that North Korea has broken its promises under the joint declaration on the denuclearization of the Korean Peninsula signed in December 1991. Under these circumstances, we need stronger collective security measures to deter aggression and miscalculation by North Korea. The relevant question we can ask is whether Russia would have invaded Ukraine if it had been part of NATO. The United States and its allies need to show credible resolve to deter North Korean, Chinese, and Russian military adventurism. It is time for an Asian version of NATO. We may call it the Indo-Pacific Treaty Organization. It could include South Korea, Japan, Australia, the Philippines, and India. Dear friends, ladies and gentlemen, this year's Asan Plenum is an opportunity to reflect on 80 years of Korea's independence and 60 years of Korea-Japan relations. During our plenum today, we'll discuss Korea's relations with its neighbors, visions for Northeast Asia, the emerging security architecture, new phases of war, new horizons of economic security, and North Korea's nuclear threat. I'm delighted that you have with us experts from many countries. I hope that our discussion today will help us find solutions to prevent tensions from erupting into conflict. Thank you very much for sharing your insight and wisdom.